Okay, first of all, where is the leprechaun world? It is in the lower astral realm. What the heck is that? Well, the lower astral realm is just a half a frequency up from what we're seeing in our third dimensional reality. And you can almost see elementals out of the corner of your eye.
Yes.
Right?
Or you see something rushing by you.
Yeah. And so a lot of people are picking up these impressions, but they ignore them. And now in our life, we are starting to move into this lower astral realm. Humans are. So more and more people are going to be seeing elementals, angels, all this kind of thing. So what are they going to see? Well, it's very like our realm in that they have mates, they have children, they are loyal, but they can travel in space and time just by thinking about it. And they can change their clothes just by thinking about it. And this is also part of what we're going to be able to do. I mean, people are going to be able to very soon be able to do that. So elementals have a great sense of humor. And in Irish,
jokes on us.
In Irish, you would call it sometimes black humor.
Yeah.
Which means they like to play tricks on each other and also on humans. And why would they do that? Well, they get great, good fun out of it. And they're spontaneous, they're uncensored. And as you said, they live in the present moment. So if they're thinking we are taking life too seriously, they may just give us little poke to say, like, this is ridiculous. Why are you taking life so seriously?
Well, okay, yes. And they, as Lloyd said in the book, he said, we have a different view of morality. We are not moral, we're amoral. And each one of us, each one of the different types of elementals has a different sense of their view of morality and responsibility. And for example, with leprechauns, they really enjoy getting one over on each other, tricking each other, being more clever than another, taking one's gold off of them. And another little parlor trick that I was reading about that Lloyd was speaking about is he and his mates would go to a bar where humans are. We'll talk about that in a minute, but they'd go to a bar because they like their drink too. And they would
Guinness.
And they would literally cause the drinks of the humans to spill over and pick up change and things like that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, first of all, their idea of morality is that they would take the good out of the Guinness first.
Yes.
And then they would spill the drink so that that poor human wouldn't be drinking their leftovers. Right?
Let's get to that, because that's an important part. Because another part that actually is kind of moral in our sense. And that is that they tend to take the essence out of human food. They can get the energetic essence and imbibe in that and kind of denature the food a little bit energetically from their point of view. And that's what you're speaking of. If they take the essence of and the good out of the Guinness, well, why not knock the man's beer over and have him get another one, right?
Yeah, and then, maybe they'd be taking the good out of that too. Who can tell? It depends on their day, I think. And also, I wrote about how the woman now, she used to, when I first met her, be not emancipated. She was very old-fashioned and let Lloyd be the one who was dominating the conversations. But now she's emancipated.
Yes.
Yes, she's emancipated. And now all the leprechaun women in her community are coming to her for advice on how to handle their men and how to become emancipated as well.
I found that fascinating.
I hope you're enjoying this video because if you are, there are dozens more like it on my site, all supported by people like you. So if you'd like to keep this work rolling in and join our community, just click on the Patreon button at reginameredith.com. That also gives you access to insider commentary, my live book club, and other live events with special guests. So join in. Thanks.
She also started giving you a little bit of a feeling about this notion of taking the essence of food of humans, that there's a limit to that, and that during the potato famine, that it was a famine for both because the leprechauns couldn't justify taking the good out of what little there was for the humans living in our dimension. Can you talk about that a little bit? I thought that was interesting.
Yes, once again, that's their sense of morality.
Yeah.
And they knew that everyone was suffering. And this is the thing about elementals. Elementals are interested in the well-being of all beings on the earth, as a whole, and all beings. And so during the potato famine, when you had so many Irish people dying of the famine because the potatoes had rotted in the ground, then the elementals also suffered, and there was a decrease not only in the Irish population, there was a decrease in the elemental population at the same time. So their evolution is linked to ours. If we're doing well and we're taking care of the earth, then they're doing well and they're given more energy by us to take care of the earth. So there's this reciprocity that Lloyd is very interested in establishing, and he wants partners in the human world.
Yeah, and partly because their habitat is also diminishing now because of the nature of what humankind has done on the surface of the earth and the nature of development in general. A lot of the former habitat, because they like open spaces and natural habitat in that astral dimension, a lot of that has gone away, and they're concerned that if we continue, like every ET, everybody that comes here has the same thing, which is you need to learn to appreciate and nurture Mother Earth, because this is what's going to sustain all of you, and if you don't, it won't sustain you and it won't sustain us. And so he talks about that a bit. Can you continue on about their feelings about that?
Well, this is their primary mission.
Yeah.
Elementals' primary mission are to establish and co-create with natural laws on the planet. And there are elementals of the water and the air and the earth. And so they are wanting to work with human beings right now as co-creators so that we're not unconscious about what we're doing. And so we can use these natural laws, which, by the way, are the same as spiritual laws. Mm-hmm. And they're based on sustainability. Mm-hmm. And if we can do this, then this is really what humans are supposed to do anyway. Humans are supposed to be able to work with the natural laws and elementals. And we used to do this hundreds of years ago. We've just forgotten.
Yes. And at the same time, they have something to gain from their interactions with humans because they're looking to move more in certain traits into the human realm themselves, particularly when it comes to the notion of not just free will, but will itself, creation through the strength and power of the will, because they're so in the moment and playful, they don't have a lot of follow through oftentimes and end up not really creating what they'd like to create. They're having too much fun. They're doing other things.
Yeah, that's true. Humans have a strong ego.
Yes.
And elementals do not. And in associating with us, just like animals associating with us, if you have a pet dog or cat, they develop a stronger ego. Mm-hmm. Through associating with us. And it's the same with elementals. So they want that so that they can have, and you use those words, free will, that they can use their free will to co-create what they would like rather than being at the mercy of what humans would like.
And also to break free of some of their own patterns, because as Lloyd and also his wife said, they're trying to break into more modern ways themselves. They have to transform in the tribal and family sense, because they go by old traditions that aren't serving some of them anymore, right?
Yeah, and I loved the chapter in the book. I loved it myself when Lloyd describes how the various elementals are using our modern inventions to build things. And they were talking about how the trolls build houses, and they want this very strong structure at the bottom, which is rooted and grounded, and then you get the elves starting to build on top of it, and it's beautiful, but is it stable? And then you get the goblins at the very top, who are very adventurous, and then they topple the whole structure because they're trying to learn how to co-create together with their various strengths and their very uniqueness, and yet they're loving the creativity of exploring it.
Yeah, it was fascinating, especially he was talking about trolls, how they're dense and muscly little things. They work lifting rocks and such because they're trying to get their physical strength up, where the elves are much more inclined toward the etheric and the beautiful. And they went through the traits of the different ones, as you said. I thought that was fascinating. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you might also want to consider joining Patreon, which allows me to keep all of this content free and available to everyone. And if you're looking for like-minded souls, you might also enjoy my online community called Our Neighborhood. Links to join are in the description.